It takes a special skill set to drive a modified. Taming those pocket rockets is not easy, especially when you try to do it on quarter mile and third mile, the little bull rings. But for many, many years, that's exactly what this week's Advanced Auto Parts Victory Lap driver has done, and with a great deal of success. Over a number of decades, he's beaten some of the best at places like Claremont, Hudson, and Monadnock. In fact, his 7 Monadnock Trek titles there in the Southern New Hampshire racetrack ties him with former driver Punky Karen as the king of the track. It's great to have West Swansea, New Hampshire's favorite son, Todd Patnode, join me here on Wind Tunnel. Todd, you've been at this for quite some time. Does it ever get old?
No, it does not. This is how I relax. This is fun.
Really, driving in close quarters with open wheels is how Todd Patnode relaxes.
Don't have to think about another thing on the world.
Well, what is the magic to mastering a modified on a short track like that?
Paying attention for a lot of years from the guys that did it before me.
Is there anybody particular that you patterned yourself off of, or that you felt was the best mentor to give you the skill set?
Early when we were in the pro stocks, Punky Karen had given me quite a bit of advice at one time. I've had advice in the modifieds from like Dwight Jarvis and guys like that. That when they offer advice, you listen to them.
I would have to agree with you. The national championship title chase this season has got you right in the top 5 back and forth. Now, without question, Peyton Sellers is kind of making a mockery of it down south, winning almost as many races as they count. But how does it make you feel to be a New Englander and being, well, at least in the conversation for the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts National Championship?
Good. I mean, we always watch it off and on throughout the years. You got to have a really good season, so we try not to overemphasize on it until we get late in the season before we really start paying attention to stuff like that. It doesn't really change what we do. We go out weekly. We try to win every race. We go to the track believing we can. That doesn't always happen, obviously, but that's how we set our goals out.
When you look at the world of short track racing these days, you know my background, and I certainly have enjoyed when you've come down and run some open races at my family's track. But I have said for a number of years, Todd, that there was a period of time when NASCAR, whether it was by design or inadvertently, disconnected from short track racing. And they ignored what is one of the primary foundations to their success in an effort, I think, to mainstream into the mainstream sporting world, the premier levels, the trucks, the Cup, and the Xfinity. But thanks to Advanced Auto Parts and some really good promoters, and you race for several of them, do you think that connection is back? Do you feel like you're part of NASCAR?
Yes, I do. The NASCAR program, I mean, everybody can pick it apart if they want to, but there's a lot more pluses than there are negatives to it. I feel with the sponsors like Advance and stuff that come on board and really help out the program, that's all pushed behind the scenes by NASCAR. So, yeah, I believe NASCAR is trying to reconnect with the grassroots racer.
What about the short track promoters in the 21st century? There was a period of time where all they cared about was opening the gates, putting the cash in the till and selling some hot dogs. But it seems as if they too have committed to an outreach to make you a partner. The race cars, the owners, the drivers, make them partners in the success of their specific racetrack. How do you feel about that?
I think the promoters over the last 5-6 years, especially, have done more for the racers again. They realize, I believe, that without the racers, they can't succeed on their own. So they kind of need us now. Before, I think there was so many cars that they didn't have to emphasize on what was going on with the race teams themselves. But as you look across the tracks, we're really down on car counts from what they were like a decade ago. So, yeah, I believe they're putting in a very good effort to bring all that back.
You and I are lucky. We grew up waiting, actually cheating, driving before we could get our driver's license. Today's younger generation, forgive me, I don't think, at least I can only relate to my grandsons. They don't have that same passion of, oh man, I can't wait to get my license. They're more concerned about how they can PayPal for their Uber ride. So how do we as an industry connect with the younger generation to ensure that we will have this sport 20, 30, 40, and 50 years from now?
That's a very good question. I don't have a good answer for that. I mean, if you went back 2 decades ago, guys would race 3 times a week, and
Yeah.
no matter what it took, they'd go to the racetrack. Now I see guys, they're young, they have opportunities to go to other places, and they just don't do it. They lock into one track.
And look, there can be pluses and minuses to that, but I'm actually more concerned about the reaction that you may have. You could provide maybe some insight, attracting younger fans. It's one thing. We still have a certain population that'll come up through carts and then legends cars or quarter midgets, and then maybe a street stock. So there is a ladder system in short track racing, but you and I, well, I'm a lot older than you are, but it can't become a sport of old men. We have to have fans that will fill the stands that, are more used to playing games on a PlayStation 2 than going out and getting excited about guys like you rubbing fenders and trading paint.
I think somehow you'd have to go into like the high schools and
Yeah.
maybe the tracks, bring some of the guys and girls that would be interested in this type of stuff, bring them to some of the local shops, let them see what goes on with it, bring them to the racetrack. I mean, I know a lot of them watch racing on TV, but it does no justice for the sport whatsoever. I mean, you don't have the smells at the racetrack, you don't have the action, you can't watch the individual battles that you want to watch. So I think a lot of it is first pulling them into the track, letting them see everything that goes on behind the scenes and how much fun everybody actually has that does it.
Yeah, it is addictive once you get your first taste of it, but it's trying to lead them to the well and offer them the drink. Let me ask you and take this in a different direction. How many more years are you going to keep at it?
My wife just asked me that, and I asked her.
I'm sorry.
No, I asked her. I said, "How old was Red Farmer when he quit?"
He's still racing, Todd. He's not. He's like 96 or 97. He's still racing that tight bull ring outside of Talladega, the dirt track.
And that's what I told her.
Oh my gosh. My gosh.
That was my answer to her.
How'd she react to that?
I don't think there was a comment, or at least one that could be made.
Listen, you've experienced a lot of success, but is there maybe one or two things that burn bright that remain on your bucket list that you want to go after before you turn 97 and go all Red Farmer on me?
I'd still like to go back to Stafford with the SKs with my own car at some point. I drove Keith's car a couple of times, really good car. I think I'd have to go back and do my own deal though, where I get hands-on for the feel I'm looking for. So yeah, that would probably be one, because I just feel that I left way too much on the table the few times that I went there.
It's amazing that you say that, because I think whether you're running at the Cup level, IndyCar level, or at the NASCAR Advanced Weekly Series, any driver worth his salt, I think, knows when he may have left a little bit too much on the table, and it almost has got to gnaw at you far worse than maybe getting beaten on the last corner or the last lap.
Oh, absolutely. Being beat by competitors is one thing. When you let a track beat you, that's just, to me, that's unacceptable. And it seems I didn't hit what we needed to at Stafford. I believe the track beat me.
Listen, your time will come. I appreciate you taking a little time to visit with us here inside the wind tunnel. Continued success. Good luck, even if you're not paying attention to the national points chase. There's an awful lot of New Englanders that are, and they're on your side as well. And for the rest of the season, go after it, get some more checkered flags, and just maybe cross off one more notch on that trip to 97 years old.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more right after this. Todd, thank you, my friend.
Yep. Thank you.